Hello everybody and welcome to the first new and hopefully improved reviews here on Fortress of Solitude. My name is Matt and today we're going to be taking a look at the newest Dawn of DC title, Green Lantern Issue 1. Written by both Jeremy Adams and Phillip Kennedy Johnson with art by Xermanico and Montos, Green Lantern Issue 1 follows in the wake of Joshua Williamson's big dark crisis on Infinite Earths and sees Hal Jordan and John Stewart both retire as Lanterns thanks to the Guardians of Oa mysteriously disappearing and the United Planets taking over the Green Lantern Corps in the wake of their disappearance, dubbing Sector 2814 a bit of a liability to the rest of the universe, being that so much big stuff happens there all the time, so the Lanterns have all been assigned elsewhere, and Hal, being the hothead that he is, decides he's going to quit being a Green Lantern and return to Earth, returning for the first time in literal years and trying to pick up where his life left off, as a fighter pilot. Flash writer Jeremy Adams absolutely was inspired by the recent Top Gun Maverick when writing this issue, as Hal returning to Earth is set up very much like Tom Cruise's Pete Mitchell in that film. He's kind of the old guard, the old dog who's always been around and is a little behind on the times in terms of where technology is and how the new breed of pilots and planes act. Hal being the old guard has been done countless times before, and Adams really does retread a lot of those previous incarnations, but it is a lot of fun seeing Hal continue to try his old tricks, both in this new generation of plane and with these new generations of pilots, and with Carol, who of course is changing with the times and isn't having any of Hal's usual nonsense this time around, completely shutting him out, and rightly so, since literally dropping off the face of the earth for years only to return and expect to pick everything back up isn't really that realistic. Xermanico's lovingly detailed artwork at this point in the book really helps sell Carol's frustrations, and I really like how they used paneling space to show Hal sort of encroaching into Carol's space unwantingly and getting a little too close to comfort to her, despite her warning him not to. It feeds wonderfully into Hal's arrogance and sense of self-importance, which, while is often backed up since he's a very capable character, I like that still after all these years we still get that arrogance just shining through every now and then. Adams also portrays Hal's homecoming thoroughly well, with the city being glad to have its protector back and kind of putting all of their worries back on Hal, and I like that there's a part there where the guys say, oh, we don't have anyone bothering us anymore now that Green Lantern is back. But then Hal also having this real sense of melancholy about him, since he misses being in space with his friends and getting into mischief, since he doesn't have his ring anymore, so he isn't really the hero everyone thinks he can be, since he can't be a hero, he literally cannot be the Green Lantern anymore. Since it's also very Top Gun-esque, Adams doesn't forget a fantastic bit of jet fighter goodness, letting Xermanico's art showcase the frenetic speed of these aircraft, and of course, I absolutely love Hal getting the green fighter. I always love when artists do stuff like that and give the heroes something that's color-coded to their costume or something related to their superhero alter ego in their civilian life. We see it with Superman where he'll wear like a red hat or a red jacket or a blue jacket, and I'll just love it so much. Trouble always finds Hal though, and it's familiar this time as a man in a Manhunter armor shows up to blow up Coast City, which is a fun little way to get Hal to have his powers back in the first issue and not drag out that portion of the story all too much. Also, and this is just the way I kind of interpreted it and read it, I always felt like Hal here was kind of hoping that this threat was Lantern related and actively sought out dealing with Steel Fury in hopes that it would lead to him getting his powers back, or something that would have given his powers back and return him to the status quo that he knows and is comfortable with. The most exciting thing about the issue for me though is Sinestro's return. It's one simple page and he's just kind of hanging out in the background of a bar somehow on Earth. We're not really sure how, but it's most likely related to the Dark Crisis of Infinite Earth, since he was in that as a possessed member of the Legion of Doom. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he is in life and what Jeremy Adams has in store for this character, and hopefully it's a bit more of a return to the classic mustache twirling villain we all know and love from the Robert Venditti days of writing the Sinestro book in the New 52. Now for the backup, Phillip Kennedy Johnson ducks on over from his stellar work on Action Comics to continue John Stewart's story as we saw in the Green Lantern Dark Crisis tie-in he also wrote, which is a very odd choice being that that whole book was kind of set in a fake world of Pryor's making. It wasn't really all that real, it was all just in John's head. I am all for them making this story and something that might happen in the future and in the present, and I really like the parallels between Hal's story, and they're pretty evident in this, as John is also back on Earth. He's not a lantern anymore, he's with his mother, with his family, just sort of hanging out with them and helping them, and I like that John has his Earth life sorted out more than Hal does, and he's actually found a purpose outside of being a Green Lantern, whereas Hal hasn't and is still, to this day, looking for that purpose. The stuff in the future is really quite cool as well, with a new lantern named Shepard being set up as the final lantern left alive against the Radiant Dead, again who are a villain that Johnson created for that Dark Crisis tie-in, and they are a very cool yet a little derivative set of new villains. This time around they feel a lot more derivative, since they just feel like a different type of version, or like a future version of Necron and the Black Lanterns, able to control death, turn things that are dead into zombies to use in their army, very much like, Blackest Night and Brightest Day and that sort of stuff. The artist Montos's grungy, gritty art style really did help though, and I do love the look of the villains as well as the designs for the older Guy Gardner and the new Lantern Shepard. And now coming to think of it, I'm believing that name is definitely on purpose, since he feels very much like a video game character that us, the audience, can sort of put ourselves on, since he's very basic in his design and feels like very much like a generic action hero video game character. So I have to feel like that's a design choice that was done on purpose, and I'm all for the sort of video games leaking into comics. I think it's a great thing when that happens. The last time we saw the Radiant Dead in that Dark Crisis tie-in, there was a little bit more mystique and weirdness to them, both visually and how they were written, since it was just like a big undead space baby doing all this evil stuff to the lanterns. So hopefully Johnson can weave a little bit more of his magic he wove during the Warworld saga and continues to weave over in Superman, and build out their lore a little bit more and make them quite unique. All in all, Green Lantern issue 1 feels like another solid win for DC at the moment. They're on a little bit of a hot streak thanks to this new Dawn of DC initiative, being extremely reader friendly, rewarding longtime readers like myself, and just being full of fun, creative swings with some fantastic characters like the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Superman, the Doom Patrol, all getting great books. If Jeremy, Phillip, Xermanico and Montos can keep this going here, I think we are in for another awesome Green Lantern series. I'm going to give this issue a solid 9.5 out of 10. I cannot recommend this book enough. So go get yourself an issue over at your local comic book shop or on Amazon or wherever you can read comics digitally, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this issue, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening.